Welcome to Shanti YouTube channel. Now today I want to discuss MCQs based on the Hindu. It is for UPSC, Prelims, APPSC and TSPSC, Prelims days. For all this, these are like becoming at every stages of prelims level. Questions are being framed from the Hindu paper and different various newspapers actually. So, in order to have some clarity over the how the Hindu need to be read and how the questions will be asked in UPSC based on the articles that are coming under the Hindu, I have started this series which will be useful for UPSC students, APPSC and TSPSC students also, like at the prelim stage. So now, the importance of, especially when coming to UPSC, the articles from the Hindu are very, very important, not only at the stage of prelims but also at the stage of mains and interview too. So, in order to make clear and easy for you guys, I have started this series. So, now without any further delay, we shall start the first article and then we shall see the question based on that article. First article, to in a blow to BJP ahead of polls, senior minister quits UP government. So it looks like something issue related to political parties and political issues and all. So many of the people, they don't have any interest regarding the what are the things that have happened in political parties, what are the things that are based on these political parties issues and all, because many of the people think that these politics are like dirty and these all are based on all those things behind policies, political parties, and all. But from coming to UPSC perspective and APPSC, TSPSC perspective, the question, like a political member, like when coming to MP or MLA, when they have got a ticket and when they got elected from a particular constituency from a particular party, and then they are moving from that particular party to another particular party, that we call it as defection. These provisions are important from our UPSC, APPSC and TSPSC perspective. That in that context, I have framed a question. So before knowing about that question, just a kind of thing. So till 1967, what happened in Indian global, center level, the center also having one party, that is Congress party, INC, ruling all over India. And what happened even in the states also Congress was the majority party. So the issue then, this defection kind of issue was not there in India. And after that, actually, in 1967, when the center party and states party, they were not in synchronization, then this issue of defection has been started. And then only the parliament has thought, in order to cut the provisions of IRM and GAIRM provisions, what the parliament has thought of, like, to make a law in such a way that after a particular MP or MLA getting elected from a particular constituency from a particular party, if they move from that particular party to another particular party, that will be a mistake and that will be in violation to the constitution. So what they have done, parliament in 1985, it has passed 52nd constitutional amendment act in 1985 and made that moving from one particular to another particular party to an MLA or to an MP, like, this is in the violation of constitution. And accordingly, the provisions for moving or doing like this, punishment has also been mentioned in this constitutional amendment act of 52nd and also representation of people's act of 1951 and 50. Okay, so this is like some kind of introduction. So what is happening in UP, or what are the election provisions and all, that is not important from this UPSC or group's perspective. But what is important is like, based on that, what type of questions UPSC will try to frame, that we need to evaluate and that we need to see. So I'm thinking that maybe this kind of provisions will be asked by UPSC or groups. So consider the following statements about anti-defection provision. So anti-defection means, in order to counter the defection provisions that have been used by MPs or MLAs, to counter that, Anti-Defection Act has been passed by the Parliament. The decision of disqualification on the grounds of defection lies with the Election Commission. Generally, in the Constitution, it is mentioned that the grounds of disqualification of an MP or MLA, if he is having an office of profit, or if he is ineligible to become a member of India, otherwise that kind of provisions will be dealt by actually the Election Commission. Or if any political things which are criminal in the nature, that will be taken under the control of Election Commission. But when coming to anti-defection, the grounds for disqualification of MP or MLA will be under the control of, or will be in the hands of, the head of the house, what it calls Speaker in Lok Sabha, Chairman in Rajya Sabha. Same like the Speaker in Legislative Assembly, and if Chairman is there, if Legislative Council is there, then Chairman in a particular state. So first provision is wrong. 10th schedule of Indian Constitution talks about anti-defection provisions. Yes, it is true. 10th schedule has been included. Actually, when Constitution has been passed and enforced, then only just 8 schedules were there. Later 9th schedule has been added, and even 10th schedule. Now there are 12 schedules actually. This 10th schedule has been passed in the year 1985 through 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act. So this is true. So which of the following are true? Only 2 is the true option. I hope this is clear for you, so that I can move to another article. So next article, treating the planet well can aid progress. Actually, this article is very important from mains perspective and also prelims perspective. Why? Because in mains, GS3 environment related questions will be asked. In environment, if we need to write an effective answer, most of the stuff that is there from the newspapers like the Hindu or Down to Earth kind of magazines, they will help you to give the stuff which are needed to be right in mains. But whereas coming to prelims perspective, mostly the questions will be asked in such a way that some kind of statistics are involved. So what this article is talking, first of all, it's just a kind of brief introduction I will be giving, because this is not a current affairs analysis session, this is just an MCQ session. So treating the planet well can aid the progress. Now what is happening especially after LPG reforms in India, and when the globalization has been started all over the globe, then the emissions have been increased like anything. Industrialization has further rise in these emissions and all. So actually in that context, different treaties, environmental organizations has been formed to control these emissions and all. And in this article, what the author tries to put up is like, in 2020 actually human development report has been given by UNDP, and the title is like the next frontier. The title of that human development report was like the next frontier, human development and Anthropocene. Human development and Anthropocene is like the era of Anthro means it's like Anthropocene, the era of human beings actually. So, what it means and what it signifies, this human development report is signifying that it is the high time for even international institutions and also central institutions like various governments. They need to more focus on both the human development and also at the same time even environment also should be given enough what we call enough vision and all. Attention should be given even to the environment. That is what the author is trying to discuss. And here this statement clearly mentions the crux of this article actually. An integrated perspective is necessary as social and environmental problems cannot be addressed in isolation anymore. Isolation means separately. So, what the author is trying to say is it's like an integrated perspective. Both environment and human development, both should be seen as a synchronization part but not should be dealt in an isolation perspective. Even maybe in future in prelims this statement will be given and he will ask like comment like 10 marker or 15 marker. In mains he will be given. So then we need to write what happened before industrialization era and how the emissions have been increased like anything after industrialization era. And then what are the treaties that are there currently in order to address these issues, but how these are like deficit in the nature. Why? Because they are looking environment in a different perspective and human development in a different perspective. If we need a true development both in terms of human development and also environmental development, an integrated approach to be needed and an integrated approach to be implemented, and it is high time for that. That will be your way forward and your conclusion stand. So now we shall see what type of prelims question may be asked. Which of the following gives the report of human development report? That is, I have discussed actually UNDP. And remember that if you take last 3 to 4 years UPSC prelims paper, this kind of reports, indices and kind of committees are most important actually. These are asking frequently. Definitely 1 or 2 questions will be asked. So whenever any kind of report has been mentioned in the newspaper, just try to write it in a separate book. Keep it a separate book for writing these indices and naval exercises and reports and committees. For that, keep a separate book and thoroughly revise that. Then it will be easier for you at least to eliminate the options in your exam. So this article talking about hate speech in the time of free speech. What the author is saying actually here is like, especially, recently what's happening, how the hate speech has been in the rise in current context actually. Constitution ensures free speech, freedom of speech and expression, freedom of speech and expression to each and every citizen in India actually. Article 19 is discussing that. But when coming to what hate speech is like, there is no definition for hate speech in Indian legislations or even in any kind of legislation which are different section books like IPC or CRPC or CPC. These are also, there is no definition, clear cut definition for hate speech actually. What we can understand what exactly is hate speech, through different court judgments and court verdicts actually. So what happening in Uttarakhand, UP, in Haridwar region, what's happening in these regions actually? The hate speech is on on rising, and how the government or the center been utilizing this hate speech provision in order to counter the opposition political parties or journalists or various media people, how they are using this provision as a tool to control the voices of media or people or criticizers, etc. So for that, what the author is trying that, so because of lack of a proper definition of hate speech, now the center or either maybe the center or the state governments, whatever, the governments are trying to use this as a tool in order to curb in order to make the voices closer by the critics and all.
So it is high time that we require a proper legislation such a way that what exactly hate speech constitutes and how this to be tackled in an effective way. Actually, as of now, the Supreme Court or the various high courts, how they are tackling this issue of hate speech is like using Indian Penal Code provisions. So, in that context, the author is trying to say that it is high time that governments need to frame a clear cut legislation. So, what exactly hate speech? Like, whenever any issue between different communities or different religions, whatever, and it leads to the important provision is what it results is very important. What it results is like results violence, then that particular speech we call it as hate speech. Okay, so that is very important. When it is resulting violence, then we call that particular speech which is rising violence among different communities or different religions or whatever, that we call it as the hate speech. So as of now, this is according to the various court judgments and various court perspectives. So now we shall see what type of question may be framed. Vishwanathan Committee. Vishwanathan Committee recently seen in the news is related to. So these are the quite common kind of questions that are asked by UPSC actually. ADR process. ADR process means actually alternate dispute resolution process. This is a kind of technique which we can use in place of Supreme Court or High Court in order to have decisions or final decisions for trade related issues and all. Agricultural subsidies, reviewing the working of GST compensation process, hate speech. So as like now just we have seen this question we can write, but if 100 questions will be asked in UPSC prelims or like that, then we will get confused for what this committee has been formed. Actually, Vishwanathan committee is for one committee, and second committee is there, Bessborough committee is also regarding this hate speech only. Okay, so I think this is now clear for you. Next article, BrahMos advanced variant test fired. So BrahMos, this comes under your GS3 indigenization of technology. So this is the first one, BrahMos actually, Brahmaputra and Moskova. These are like rivers origin of India and Russia. This is a collaboration between India and Russia program, and this is a supersonic cruise missile which will be helpful for the country's security in the maritime borders. So recently, through INS Vishakhapatnam, BrahMos missile advanced variant has been test fired by Indian government, that is Indian people. So that's what the article has been, the article is there in the newspaper. So in that context, we shall see what kind of questions will be asked in BrahMos actually. Consider the following statements about BrahMos supersonic cruise missile. So it is a joint venture between DRDO and NPOM. Maybe this type of statements we can see. We don't know what UPSC, how UPSC will give the question. Like it is an unpredictable public service commission, we can say, like unpredictable questions will be asked and so on. So DRDO, it's of like India. I already told you that Russia's. So it is a joint collaboration between India and Russia on the basis of river names like Brahmaputra and Moskova rivers. This supersonic cruise missile has been named with BrahMos. It operates on fire and forget principle. Yes, once it is been gets into operation, then further guidance will not be required by BrahMos. So that is why it works on the principle of fire and forget. So this a kind of static. This speed is like 2.8 Mach. This is like 3 times of speed of sound. 3 times of the speed in that range it actually works, and this is like 2 stages it works on. A2 surface, it works on the A2 surface missile with a flight range of more than 300 kilometers. And this is a two stage, one solid propellant stage in the first stage and liquid ramjet in the second stage will be used. Two stage system. These are like some kind of basic statics. So whenever this kind of science and technology related articles are there, you need to have clarity over how it works and what are the processes that are there, and which nation has been which nation has this collaboration, and the origin of that particular missile or aircraft carriers or whatever, the working conditions. And why? Because 2 days back, GS3 paper was there, and in that, the aircraft carriers comparing. I think Sukhoi has been asked compared to global level aircraft carriers comparison has been asked. Such type of questions are quite common in mains. So, like even prelims, indigenization regarding those will be asked, and also sometimes application of these missiles also will be asked. We don't know how the questions will be framed, but we need to have clarity over this science and technology developments in India. Why? Because when coming to science and technology perspective, or in the UPSC, only the technological developments and these current affairs will be asked more rather than the static part. So we need to more focus on the current affairs perspective of science and technology. So last but not the least article for today, Zelensky calls for international summit to end Ukraine crisis. So now, as of now, you all might have known what happened in Ukraine actually. How in order to Russia always try to have control over Ukraine. Why? Because of more natural resources present over here, and it's opening into Western European nations also. So always Russia wants to have control over Ukraine, and this Russia has put up its own troops in Ukraine in order to control over the what are the issues that are happening in Ukraine. So as this is not more like a current affairs analysis session, so if you have any doubts over any article, you can message me, you can comment in the box such that I will cover that particular article in detail in the next day. So as of now, this is an MCQ session. I'm moving like what kind of question we can see. Like this is very important from GS2 international perspective and also world geography perspective. This is very important when coming to prelims. I'm sorry. Which of the following nation does not open into Black Sea? We shall see now. If you have seen last 2-3 years papers, this kind of questions are mostly asked by UPSC. So we shall see now. Before seeing that answer, we need to have a clarity over map. We shall see now first that. So here it is Black Sea, and Turkey is there, Russia is there, Georgia is there, Bulgaria is there, Greece is no, this is yes, Turkey. Greece is not covering, and even Romania is there, and Ukraine is also coming there. And here you also need to have Sea of Azov is there, that is what you need to see. And here Mediterranean Sea, here Turkey is lying between a sandwich like Black Sea and Mediterranean Sea. And here Asian Sea is there, Sea of Marmara is there. This is how you need to see. And Istanbul is locating into or opening into actually Sea of Marmara. So this is what. So we shall see now what are the options there given. So Ukraine, as you have seen, yes, Ukraine is opening into Black Sea, and Georgia, yes, and Turkey, yes. So the remaining option is Armenia, and behind Georgia, Armenia is lying actually. So which of the following does not open? So the question is asking about does not open. So Armenia is the right answer, Black Sea. So whenever you are seeing any kind of international issues, from mostly from prelims perspective, you will be asked such type of questions. Why? Because statements will not be asked what happening in Ukraine, and how Russia is tackling that, and how Russia is having control over Ukraine, what exactly US is doing, what exactly France, Germany, these countries, or how it is criticizing Russia's step and all. That will not be asked in the prelims. That you need to give in your mains perspective. So this is the last question for today, and thank you for this. So if you have any doubts, you can comment in the comment box, and if you like this video, do share, comment, and give a thumbs up, so that it will give me motivation, and in the future I will come with more and more initiatives which will be useful for your prelims and also mains. I will try to cover the sessions. So thank you guys.